What I want to try and do today is not turn this into a big training session on how to use all the tiny little things inside Lifecycle. I just want to give you an overview of some of the functions that will take a bit of getting your head around, because they're different from the way your estate agency software has worked for the last 20 years. It's a very exciting time for us. About 5 years ago, I really just dreamt that we might be able to transform the way estate agents not just work, but the way that they see their businesses. And yeah, we've still got a way to go with that, but hopefully you guys are starting to experience some of that now and would agree that, you know, we're having that kind of impact with people. But the one thing that's remained a constant for all of those agents is their CRM. The CRMs that were created 20 years ago, essentially, are still sitting at the heart of their business. And it really does hold estate agency back, because the rest of the world has moved on and the public struggle to see why estate agency hasn't moved on. But estate agency is held back because they don't have the technology to work the way that the rest of the world does. So 20 years, estate agency software has had to sort themselves out, and they haven't. We've pretty much killed it in 12 months. I'm not looking for suggestions today. I know you guys will look at our system once you get your hands on it, or even after today, and say, oh, could you do this? Could you do that? Of course, you're gonna do that. But at the moment, we just want to appreciate what we've actually built. Someone once told me a great analogy about how they went backpacking in Australia, and right next to their hotel there was this big mountain, and they inquired at reception, like, can you climb that mountain? They was like, oh yeah, we do tours. And they were all like, oh, let's get ourselves booked on the tour. So about 5 o'clock in the morning, they all got woken up by the tour guide, and they got traipsed up this mountain. It took them all day. They got clambered up the side of this thing, and, you know, super hard work. Halfway up, they wish they hadn't bothered. And eventually they got to the top, and they said they got to the top just as the sunset started to go down. And they said it was the most amazing thing they've ever seen. And then in the distance, the guy that I was talking to said they could see another mountain that was slightly bigger. And they said to the guy, can we climb that mountain? And he said to them, like, why don't you just enjoy the mountain that you're on at the moment? So I think that's quite a good analogy for where we are with our software. I've shown people, and you can't resist saying, oh, could you do this? Could you do that? Yep, we can do anything. And hopefully you guys know us well enough to know that we will continue to evolve it. But right now, I just want to show you what we've been busy creating inside Lifecycle in order to cover the first initial problems, because the first problems that people highlighted to us were, oh, it's a bit annoying having to put applicants into both systems, or it's a bit annoying having to load my property into Vibras just to get it onto a portal. Could you just make that function? They were small things to begin with, and they've obviously evolved into bigger and bigger things. But there comes a point whereby, as a company, you say, enough now. That's good enough for a release. Let's use that, and we'll continue to build more stuff on it from there. So one of the important things I want you guys to also remember is that we're not building an estate agency software. We didn't come at this from the angle of going, right, let's have a look at all the things that Dupix does or Vibra does, and let's replicate it. We are a data system. The purpose of Lifecycle is a data system. You guys all understand that. If you don't, maybe go through and do the Lifecycle Academy. But the point of the system is to build data on your local market, and you can win that way. You can become vital again to the public if you build a data system. So when someone says, oh, but my current estate agency software prints window cards, it doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. I know you might say, yeah, but it'd be good if everything was in one place. Yeah, of course, it'd be good if the system drove your car for you as well and babysat your kids, but it's a data system. So we're building functions around the idea of building a data system. I'm not saying that we'll never make it so that it can make a window card. It just doesn't seem worth the effort of 5 months worth of development to do a function that you can do in 3 seconds in Canva. So just try and stay focused on that principle. It's a data system. And look at all the functions that we're building. Some of these are individual companies that are big enough to be floated on the stock exchange. DocuSign, all they do is digital signatures, and they're massive. And that's just a function in life cycle. The market appraisal presentations, there are companies that only do that. It's just a function in life cycle. Now we're moving into applicant matching, property search, and so on and so forth. And the functions will just keep growing and growing and growing. But at the heart of it, you're building a data system. You're a data-driven company. The other thing that we were trying to solve with Lifecycle 2 was this problem. Most of our agents have a big admin problem. I don't think that most people see it as an admin problem, but if you look around at your staff every day, they spend 40 to 50% of their time just doing things like qualifying inquiries, trying to get through to people that have said they want to view a property or want more details, and calling them back, and following up viewings, and just admin tasks, which is kind of crazy that we spend 40 to 50% of our wage bill on those tasks when perhaps a lot of that stuff could be removed. And if we could remove that, then maybe we would have more time to focus on client relationships and strategy, so that now the balance in our company looked a bit more like this. And if we could do that, then we know obviously that we would have a lower churn rate of people that leave us, and a better strategy in terms of getting people on board, rather than just spending every day running around like a headless chicken. So having said that, let me jump out of this system and go to Lifecycle. It's just I've just got this on a test account at the moment. So if you see me refreshing the page, don't worry, you're not going to need to do something and then refresh the page. I want to start with applicant registration, how that works inside Lifecycle, and some of the nuances with it that if you didn't know, you might think, oh, this isn't working properly, or I've run into a brick wall. Why we've done it, applicant registration that way. If you see me looking down here, I'm just checking my notes to make sure I cover everything. How matching works, property matching, and the new way that that works inside the company, and for you guys, why it's so important. I'm going to talk about the property search page and why you'll probably end up binning the property search that you've got on your website and replacing it with the property search page from Lifecycle. And I'll go over, some of the simple things like booking a viewing, putting in an offer, sales progression, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to start with applicant registration because this is really the crux of how Lifecycle, everything changes at this point when you're using Lifecycle 2. In traditional estate agency software, there's no way of me registering myself into your database. And even if there were, there's no incentive for me to do that. Why would I want to register with an estate agent? The world doesn't work like that anymore. If you go back before estate agency software, before portals really, it was normal that people would go for a walk down a high street and register with all the local agents. That was one of the main reasons you needed to be on the high street. They would have a little look in the window, and then they'd come on in and sit down, and you'd take their details, and they'd hope that you would keep them up to date with new properties that come on the market. When portals came along, there was no real need for people to do that anymore. So effectively what happened was I can browse the market anonymously. So I don't really need to register with the estate agents. Rightmove knows who I am. Rightmove is keeping track of what I'm looking at, but it's not telling the estate agent any of that information until the stage whereby I see a property that I like. Once I see a property that I like, I then begrudgingly have to get in contact with the agent. The agent then phones me up and tries to qualify me or register me, whatever way you want to look at it. And I have a bit of an argument with them over the phone, and it all turns into a bit of a wrestling match, whereby, the agent wants to know if I've got a mortgage, if I've got a house to sell, and I'm just on the other end going, I just want to see the house, stop asking me all these questions, and we get off on the wrong foot already. So why would anyone want to register in an estate agency software? Well, what we've done is we've created this section, this property search page that's powered through Lifecycle. And it has this section here called Heads Up Property Alerts. So the idea is that what you can do, sorry, let me just, I've got my cameras on the wrong thing at the moment. Right, so what you can do is you can put adverts out there on social media, same way that you run your instant valuation ads. You run those to people that have previously been on Rightmove or Zoopla, Facebook and Google. They'll allow you to do that sort of targeting. So you're running adverts out there to people in your local area that have previously been on the portals. Maybe you're putting a sticker in your window. Maybe you just decide to do leaflets. It's up to you. But either way, you're communicating with the market that you're saying things like, hey, have you ever missed out on a property before? Have you ever found your dream home on Rightmove and then gone and investigated and found it's already under offer? Or maybe an estate agent hasn't told you about a property because it was just a little bit outside of your criteria. Well, you never have to worry about that again, because we now use a system that uses artificial intelligence in the same way as systems like Amazon and Netflix suggest things to you. Our system will look at your criteria and suggest potential properties to you before they've even hit the portals. So try out our heads up property alerts. So the person thinks to themselves, oh, fair enough, that sounds good. So they go to this page. They can run a normal search if they want to. If they don't want to be registering for heads up property alerts, they can run a normal property search. And they go on here and they say, I'm going to register for these heads up alerts. First thing they do is they put in their personal details. So let's put in here, Mr. Mike Jones, and they put in an email address and a mobile, and then they put in their home address using their postcode. So let's just choose that one and that. Tick off GDPR consent and save. So they've put in their personal details. Now is where it starts to get interesting. So in the property details, on most estate agency websites, you've got very basic search functions, i.e., if your estate agency is based in Canterbury, there might be a tick box saying I'm looking in Canterbury. But Canterbury is a massive place. That doesn't mean a great deal, and so therefore I end up getting sent loads of crap I'm not interested in, and I end up just going straight back to Rightmove. On here, you can put in specific locations. So my kids go to a school called St. Nicholas. I can put in St. Nicholas School and 5 miles around if I want to. I can also say I'd like to be within 5 miles of Margate Station. So let's put that as 5 miles around Margate Station. So tell me about properties that are either within 5 miles of Margate Station or 5 miles of St. Nicholas School. And what the system starts to do, you can see up here, it says 30. It's not doing exact matches. I'll show you as we go through it. It's figuring out, using its AI, what properties might work for this person based around that location. They then put in the type of property they're looking for. So they can tick any of these. I'm going to put flats for this person. And down the bottom, they put in the usual kind of stuff that you guys would all already be familiar with. Minimum price 150, maximum price 250, minimum bedrooms 2. They leave the rest. And then over on the right-hand side here, let me just move my cameras. Over on the right-hand side here, they fill out the questions that normally you'd have to have a wrestling match with them over the phone about. So they put in, I'm looking to downsize. I am ready to move now. I haven't sorted out my solicitors. I heard about you guys via an email. I have a property to sell that's not yet on the market, and I haven't sorted out my mortgage yet. Even if you created a form that was a bit like this on your website, the problem is I don't get anything in return when I hit register, and the internet just doesn't work like that anymore. People won't hand over their information unless there's something in it for them. So when this person hits register, what happens, they might be doing this at 11 o'clock at night. When they hit register, the system will immediately take them through to the properties that match against their criteria. As you can see here, this one is 100% match because it's in his price range, it's in the area he wants, it's 2 bedrooms and it's a flat. Great, that makes sense. But as we start to go down the page, what we can see is that this one here is only a 94% match. And this is where the system's starting to use its intelligence. It is a flat, it is in the right area, but it's a little bit outside of his price range. Not far outside of his price range. So we're saying this is still a pretty good match for you. You might like this. If we go a bit further down, the system jumps down at some point. Here we go, 55% match this one. It's clever enough to know not to send this guy detached houses. He's looking for a flat. But this property is in the right area. It's in his price range, but it's only 1 bedroom. So we're not making ourselves look incompetent because we're saying, it's not that likely that you're going to like this, but we thought you might want to know about it anyway, because you're looking for a flat in this area and it's in your price range. Now the interesting bit starts to kick in because he's in one big ecosystem, a tracking system. So if he looks at this and goes, actually, I know those flats and I do really like those, and he clicks in to look at it, I know he's looked at that property because he's in a tracking system. So if I go back into Lifecycle and we search for, what did I call him? Mike Jones, wasn't it? If we search for Mike Jones, there you go. Mike Jones is already in my CRM system. No one's done anything at my end. The little green dot says he's live right now. He's on your website. He registered as a buyer, but Lifecycle's also identified that he's a vendor because he said he's got a house to sell that's not yet on the market. And if I go into his profile, I can see all the usual stuff here, all the contact details and notes and all that stuff. But down here, he's got one search profile with us. He's never done a market appraisal with us or had any viewings or put any offers in. If I go onto his search profiles, I can see all the stuff that he entered into the system, the areas he's looking, the type of property, the information down the bottom there, the questions that he answered. I can also see all the properties that match against him from 100 down to 30%. So everything that may possibly work for this guy, I can see it all here. But interestingly, I can also see over here, potential viewings. These are the ones that he's really interested in. These are the ones that he clicked through to. So let's rewind out of that for a second, because what's going to start to happen is that your registrations are going to start coming in left, right, and center. You're running Facebook ads and Google ads telling people to register for your heads up property alerts. Your Rightmove, Zoopla, and on the market leads are coming into Lifecycle and going to start getting a kickback saying, we need more information, which is effectively register with us. So registrations are going to start flowing into the system. So it's quite unlikely that you've actually noticed much about Dave Jones, that he registered at 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday. But what is more likely is that this property, 16 Grosvenor Place, you come into the office and you say to the team, look, guys, the vendor of 16 Grosvenor Place is right on my case now. We've been on the market 6 weeks and we need more viewings. Do something. That's how it works at the moment. And the team are left there going, what do you want me to do? Like pull a rabbit out of a hat. So they don't know who to call. We don't know what to do. But this is a living, breathing system. The data's changing on a minute by minute basis. People are coming in, looking at properties. So if I go to 16 Grosvenor Place, I can see here potential viewings, and I can see Mike Jones is here. Who the hell's this guy? I know he wasn't here yesterday. He looked at the property today. He's looked at it once. So I can then go into Mike Jones' profile and see how well it matches and call him and see if he wants to go for a viewing. And that's happening 24/7, 365. The system is alive. Everything's happening without you doing anything. The people are registering, they're getting matched against properties, they're looking at properties, which is bringing the database alive. So I can look at it from a property side of things or a person side of things. If someone walks into your office, which hopefully, is something that is going to start to happen again, I can do it manually for them. I can register somebody manually in the same way, or even better, I can just send them a link to register themselves. So if I go back to contacts, and let's go to this lady, Sophia Allen. Let's say that she wasn't in my system and she just stuck her head through the door and said, oh, I wanted to view one of your properties. And we start asking her questions. She says, oh, no, I haven't got time for all of that. We can say, all right, no problem. Just give us your name and your email address and I'll ping you over a link. You can fill that out and we'll get it sorted out for you. So all I need from her is name, email, or name and mobile number. I can put her in the system as a contact. and I can just go to search profiles and click this send registration link, and she'll get sent the email. She can fill it out herself. I don't have to go through all of the crap with her. Of course, you know, if someone wants to specifically sit down and you fill it out for them, then you can click here to add a new buyer profile and fill it out for them while they're telling you over the desk, you know, what you should put in for them. So we never really need to register we never really need to register anybody manually again. Let me just mute that person. We want people to start giving us their information, this stuff. And the reason we want it is because what's happening here, if you didn't have your heads up property alerts, as I said before, I've got no reason to register with you guys. So there's loads of people out there at the moment in your area that are anonymously looking around on Rightmove. And a fair percentage of them have also got a house to sell that's in your area, but no agents know about them because they're busy browsing Rightmove anonymously. And then they see this thing saying, find out about properties before they hit Rightmove. They go, oh, lovely, I'll fill that out. And they tell you they've got a house to sell. So you not only know about somebody that no other agent knows about that's looking for a property, you also know about somebody who's got a house to sell that no other agent knows about. And your system can start communicating with them. It could automatically be sending them the instant valuation link. They're going to automatically start getting the newsletter. You're going to start having more touch points with these people. We may well get ourselves into the situation whereby we're going around doing a valuation for somebody and no other agent even knows this person is in the market. I could take that property on the market with the tools that you're familiar with already in life cycle. I do the valuation. It reminds me when they're active. I close the deal. I get the instruction. When I add all the details, so if I go to properties and go to this one, I go in here and I add all the stuff that I would usually add to a property that I've just been instructed on, all the photos and the floor plans and any video links and EPCs, all the stuff that you would normally add, the descriptions, the bullet points. When I make this property available, it's not going to the portals at that point. What's happening is that it's immediately looking in my database for anyone who matches between 130%, and it's sending those people an email, just like the emails you get from Netflix saying, hey, Mark, your heads up property alerts have just been updated with a new suggested property. Click here to have a look, which is firing them back to this search page, personalized to them, with the newest property sitting right here at the start. And they may go, oh, it's only a 35% match. I'm not that interested in it, but I do still quite like this one. And they go and look in here again. Bang, our database is coming alive again. We've got a new potential viewing. We've got more stuff to follow up on. When I do want it to go to the portals, I can just choose, right, I do want it to go to Zoopla, but I don't want it to go today. I want it to go next week. So I can just schedule it for the 30th at 10:25 in the morning, publish. That's when it's going to hit Zoopla. So I can do everything in one go. I haven't got to remember, oh, don't forget next week on Tuesday, we're supposed to make it live on Rightmove. I can do all that when I make it available. But to start with, it's hitting my database of people that other agents haven't even got registered with them. So there starts to become a clear path away from portals here. Instead of us just saying, oh, let's make another portal to get away from the portals, we can start to say, well, hold on a minute. You can start to take back control a bit here. You could go to a vendor's house and say, well, we register people based on a different idea. We register people to learn about properties before they hit the portals. Therefore, these people are very, very motivated. You don't register with an estate agent to learn about properties before they hit the portals if you're just a property tourist. So I've got people that are specifically trying to find out about properties in your area right now before they hit the portals. And I can tell you how many I've got. I've got 17 of them. Here they are, 17 people that match. Alternatively, if you go with a traditional estate agent that doesn't use a system like that, they're going to put your property on Rightmove and bring 15 tourists around. So why would you not want to see these 17 people first? It's, as time goes on, the function's not there now. And I know you're going to say, wow, God, that function's amazing. Why didn't you build it now? As I said at the beginning, we have to go through a specific process. But because we've got this functionality in the system, it's easy enough for us to start looking at bringing that functionality forward. Why not show it on the market appraisal report? Why not allow the owner of the property to move the price and see how much that number changes themselves? Why not take it all the way forward to instant valuation? Someone does an instant valuation on their property and it says, yep, we've got 17 people that we could send round. Do you want to instruct us now? Do you want us to send them? Yep. You just get an email through saying you just got a new instruction, and 17 people have already been told about it. Three people have already gone on the potential viewings tab. So to begin with, this is how it's starting to work. Okay, you can start to register people yourselves. We don't need to rely on Rightmove to launch a property anymore. We can launch properties to our own database. We can start pulling in registrations. We're giving them a reason to register with us. So, yeah, okay, that's a fair trade-off, just like the instant vow tool. And it's possible that I could get a property, make it available in my database, go home, come back the next day, see potential viewings, book a viewing, get an offer, tie it up, haven't even hit the portals yet. So that's why you will probably end up on your website. I know, you guys have all put a lot of time and effort into your websites, but you will probably end up making it so that on your website at the moment, when someone clicks blog, it goes to the blog that Lifecycle's created. When someone clicks property search, you'll probably send them to this page so that they can do the heads ups, and this guy, Mike Jones, if he ever returns to the site, it will know it's Mike Jones. It will bring him the properties that match. He can go into his profile and he can edit. He can say, he can go in here and he can say, oh, actually, no, I have sorted my mortgage now. So I've already got an agreement in principle, and update his details. Bang, it's updated inside your Lifecycle system, which means if you were using audiences inside Lifecycle to market your mortgage broker to him, boom, all of a sudden, you're not spending that money anymore. He's not seeing an advert that's irrelevant to him. So again, because it's a centralized system, when Mike Jones makes an inquiry from Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market, we're not going to ask him for more information. We already know he's registered with us. So what we'll do is we'll go back to Mike Jones and say, hi, Mike, can you just go and check and make sure all of your details are still correct? So we're getting him to update the CRM system. So it's always live and up to date. He might go there and go, okay, he gets taken to this page and he goes, oh no, I did this ages ago. No, I'm looking up to £300,000 now. So he changes that to 300,000. What that will mean is that he'll get matched with a whole different load of properties now. So again, my database just became alive again. When I'm looking at properties, it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. How comes Mike Jones matches with this property now? They're keeping the database up to date all the time. The whole thing's changing. As I said before, it's a living, breathing system. So let's go back into this system, and let's go to one of these matched applicants. I'm going to pick this guy, Tony Blair. So Tony Blair matches this property. If I want to book a viewing with Tony Blair, I can just click on this 3 buttons at the end here and choose book viewing. I'm going to go a different way about it to show you a function that if you didn't know why it's doing it, you might think, well, that doesn't make any sense. So let's go back to Mike Jones again. And let's say Mike Jones comes to your office or phones you up and says, I've seen a house that you've got a board outside of. I want to view it, please. And let's say that house is on the market for £500,000. What's going to happen? The way that you would book the viewing is you'd go to his matched properties and you'd click on the 3 buttons and you'd click this book viewing. However, the house that he's talking about isn't showing in this list. So you might immediately be thinking, well, how am I supposed to do this now? This doesn't make any sense. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid a situation whereby someone in your office now knows that Mike Jones is looking for houses up to £500,000, but the system doesn't know that. The system says he's looking for flats up to 300,000. So the first thing that needs to be done is we have to say, oh, Mike, I've got you down as looking for a 2-bed flat up to £300,000. Is that not correct anymore? And he's either going to say, no, it's not correct, I'm looking for houses, in which case I can edit his profile. Or he might say, it is correct, that's an investment flat that I'm looking for. I'm also looking for a home for my family. And we can say, okay, great. Do you want me to just add a new profile for you then? And I can say, add a new profile, ask him the details. He's looking for a detached house. He's looking up to £500,000. And over here, it's asking me the questions again. You might think, well, why? I've already asked him those questions. Well, yeah, but when he was looking for an investment property, he might have said he's buying cash and he hasn't got a house to sell. Now he might be telling you, yeah, I have got to sell my house and I am going to need a mortgage. So we're asking me the questions again. Let's just put anything in here. Save that. And now Mike Jones has got 2 search profiles with us because he said he's got a house to sell. It immediately asks, do you want to book him in for a market appraisal? Let's say no to that for now. So now Mike Jones has got 2 search profiles with us. If whenever he goes back on our website, if I just refresh, he's got 2 profiles in here that he can edit as well. So again, think about the data system. This took us so long to figure out. I can't tell you how many conversations and arguments we had about this. Inside your Viber and Dupix systems, they don't care about data. So it doesn't matter. Mike Jones can be in there 6, 7, 8 times. They don't really give a shit. This is one centralized system. I want to know everything about Mike Jones on one profile. I want to know how many market appraisals relate to this guy, wherever they were. I want them all on one profile. Search profiles. I want to know how many search profiles this guy's got with us. He's looking for houses and for this, and he's a landlord, and this and that. I want to know how many viewings he's done with us. How many offers has he made? So that one day Mike Jones comes in and says, oh, I'd like to view that property. I go on here and go, oh, Jesus Christ, this guy's done 48 viewings with us and hasn't made an offer yet. Like, you know, do we really want to do this? So we're just trying to build a better system, a smarter system for people to be able to see what they're doing. So you get the idea. We want to book a viewing. Let's go back into his search profile and find a property that he matches against. This one, he wants to book a viewing. The viewing box pops up. Usual kind of stuff. We pick a time and date. Let's pick a date in the past so that I can show you about the viewing feedback. So we pick the date. We say whether it's accompanied, unaccompanied, or whether it's an online viewing. Obviously, it's become a more popular thing now, so we thought we'd include that function. It's accompanied, and yeah, it's been confirmed. It's been confirmed. Create the appointment. I can then send the confirmation about the viewing. So in here, I've got his viewings, and I can send out a confirmation here, which will send an email and an SMS to the person viewing the property, or the people viewing the property, the owners, and if there's a tenant in the house, it will send it to the tenant as well, saying we're coming on this date. So I send the confirmation. So then his viewing takes place, right? Because I've done it in the past, you can see here it already says requires feedback. Otherwise, it would have said upcoming viewing. The reason I put it in the past is because I just wanted to show you how the feedback works. So I can either go to a property and look at the viewings tab and see everything that we're still awaiting feedback on, or I can go to a person and see any viewings that we're awaiting feedback on, or over here in operations, I can see all of my outstanding viewing feedback that I'm waiting on, and I can filter that down by branch or user, or, you know, if I don't want to see everything, if maybe it's easy for a single branch, but if I'm 5 branches, I might not want to see all of it. So we're waiting on feedback from this house up the top here. What happens in life cycle is the day after the viewing at 8 o'clock in the morning, the viewer will get sent an email and an SMS message saying, yesterday you viewed this property. Please, can you click here to give us some of your initial feedback, as it's really important for us to give this back to the owner. If you don't give us feedback, it might affect your, you know, ability to view with us in the future or something like that. You can edit the template if you want to. And when they click the button, they'll go through to a page that looks something like this. This is inside the system. Their one's a little bit jazzier. It's got a little picture of the house and that sort of stuff, but you get the idea. Ultimately, they're just really being asked these 5 quick questions. The first one is, was the price right, or is the price too high? And that's our polite way of saying, how much would you offer? You know, that kind of thing, so that we can eventually maybe we're going to use that as ammunition to get the price down with the owner. If everybody has said the price is too high, but the location's great and the condition's great, then we can go back to the vendor and say, look, everyone loves the condition, everybody loves the location, everybody says the price is too high, so if we fix the price, we'll sell the house. Would you like another viewing? Unsure. Would you like to make an offer? Yes, no, unsure, whatever they decide to choose. And then a couple of free text boxes just for them to, one, tell us if there's anything that we're missing in terms of trying to find them the right property in the future, and two, any other feedback that they might have. I don't know, your negotiator turned up smelling of weed, something like that. you might want to know if it was happening. So they leave the feedback, and then what we can see, if I just refresh that page, when I'm going on to see what feedback's outstanding. Okay, we've had the feedback for this property, but it hasn't been reported to the vendor yet. We decided not to make that automatic because would we really want some of those comments going straight to the vendor? Not so sure. Maybe in the future we might make an option where someone can turn it on if they just want it to be automatic. But at the moment, what you would do is you would just click this and say, I want to report the feedback to the vendor. It'll open you up a template that's already got the vendor's name and the property address and the applicant's details, and then you just write your translation of their feedback in here and click send and report it to the vendor that way. And then it will disappear off of your list of viewing feedback that still needs to be actioned. If this person actually decided that they wanted to make an offer, let's go back onto Tony Blair. If Tony Blair decided that he wanted to make an offer on that property, so we go to his viewings. It was this profile, wasn't it? We go to his viewings, and he says, yeah, I want to make an offer. I can record the offer in here. So record new offer. I put in the amount. I can't even remember how much that property was, but let's just say 250,000. And I can choose if he's proceedable or not, so that I can, when I go to see all my outstanding offers, I can have a look and see my A and B pipeline, if that makes sense. So let's say he's proceedable, and we save the offer. Sorry, what have I done wrong here? You get the idea, right? I save the offer. If I can then go to my operations, and I can see all of my outstanding offers. Just to make a note, when you make that offer, yep, you can send the confirmations out to everybody so that it's all in writing. So these are all my outstanding offers. If I hear from the vendor about this top one, I can go into the offer and I can go to the decide button, and I can choose what's happened here. Either the buyer's pulled out, or the offer's been rejected, or the offer's been accepted. And when I say accepted, it gives me the chance to mark the property as SSTC and reject any other offers. That's probably more useful, I guess, for lettings. If you've got 20 people that all want the property, you haven't got to go through all 20, marking them as now rejected. I could do it all in one hit if I wanted to. But either way, the offer's been accepted. And then once the offer's accepted, it's now moved over into my sales progression. So I've got a sales progression tab here, whereby I can see here, okay, this deal's just been tied up, but nothing's happened at all yet. The buyer and the vendor are both at 0% in terms of getting towards completion. So I'm going to go in here and basically set it up to start with. So I'm going to put in the predicted exchange and completion dates. Let's just put in, I don't know, let's put some in. So we're hoping to exchange in the middle of August with a completion in September, let's say. And then when we actually get there, we'll be able to it will record the actual exchange and completion dates that we ended up doing. The expected commission has been pulled through because we already know that, who the valuer was, who the negotiator was, in terms of market appraisal and booking the viewings. Down the bottom here, I can send out the memorandum, so I can fill out the details for the solicitor of the vendor, of solicitor of the buyer. I can put in the property information that the solicitor's probably going to want to know, and then I can just hit this send memorandum of sale, and it will go to the buyer, the vendor solicitors, the buyer solicitors. I can complete the chain using these three dots. So I can add a property to the top of the chain up here. We're not having all the milestones and all that stuff, just the details of the address, the price, and who you need to talk to, which estate agents it is, in order to stay on top of it. And then in terms of leaving notes, I can leave a note here and it records the notes below. There's the date, there's the note, there's the person who left it. And as milestones do start to happen, like I've sent the memorandum of sale out now. Okay, great. So I can mark that off, and you can see it starts filling up these percentages. Searches are in, contract's been issued. So we can see now, if I go back to the sales progression page, the overview, if you're just a sales progressor in the company, you're probably spending most of your time on this screen looking at it going, oh, right, okay, look, this one's up at 23%, this one's here. As the owner of the business, you might be looking for ones that are more at 90%, where you're thinking, right, maybe we could get that through this month. And then when the property actually completes, there's a function that now comes into play that's always been in life cycle. It's just not been that widely used because people weren't using it for their transactions, which is that the system will send an email to the new owner every 365 days forever saying, hey, another year's gone by, do you want to know what the property's worth? So again, it's about a data system. We're bringing in loads of data of people that are potentially looking for properties at the moment and finding out if any of them have got properties to sell. We're bringing in all the instant valuation leads, finding out data about people that live in our area, that now we know their email address and where they live, and we're having more touch points with those people. We're bringing in remote valuations. We're tracking all of the face-to-face valuations, and we're tracking all of the completions. So eventually, we own all the data in the area, and no one can beat us. It becomes very difficult for another estate agent to come and open an estate agency in your town if you've been doing that for 4 or 5 years. I think that gives you a pretty good overview generally of the functions that are coming into the system. One thing I discovered almost by accident, which I think is mental inside Life Cycle, which I just wanted to show you. Imagine that you've got a property. Let's just say near where I am, there's a place called Matching Green, and it's very, very popular. When a house comes up there, it goes immediately. And right on that green, there's a pub called the Checkers Pub. Right, so let's suppose that I'm lucky enough to get called in by a vendor who says, okay, I've got a house right on Matching Green. I'll let you sell it. I could come back here. I could run an advanced search, and I could say, right, find me buyers, not just buyers that are looking in Matching Green, but I can say the Checkers Pub in Matching Green. Right, there it is. Checkers Pub, Matching Green. I can say, find me people who are looking within a quarter of a mile of the Checkers Pub in Matching Green for a detached house that have a property to sell that's not yet on the market. And it will do my update. I mean, I probably haven't got any in here because I based everybody in Margate, but you get the idea. Here we go, 7, right? So there's 7 people. I can go to that list and I can phone these people, and I'm going to go, hi, Rob, are you still looking for a detached house at Matching Green? Yes. Okay, I've got one that's probably coming on the market. What are you doing with your house? It's not on the market yet. Great. When can I come round? So I'm going to phone these 7 people, or however many was there, 7 people. Robert Mugabe, I'm going to phone him, and I'm going to get 5 instructions, and then I'm going to take them all around the house. It's just not possible in estate agency software at the moment. There's ways that people try to do that, but you can even do something like this. You could even know that there's a new development, right? There's a new development that's happening on the Checkers Pub. Let's imagine the Checkers Pub is a rundown old pub. It's been bought and someone's going to develop it. You could go to the developer and say, if you're building 2-bed flats around 250, I've already got 16 people that match that are looking in this exact location for a 2-bed flat. Like, give me the development. I could even start to look at tools whereby perhaps, because we know all the buyers are either first-time buyers or downsizing or investors, as time goes on, this isn't available at the moment, but as time goes on, I can build that into the market appraisal report. So if we know, okay, we've got 17 people looking around here, but they're all first-time buyers, maybe we need to tidy this place up a bit. Maybe we need to paint the walls magnolia and, you know, put a bit of IKEA furniture in here, because that's what the first-time buyers are looking for. If they're all downsizers, they don't mind paying extra. They just want a bit of quality. And I know who to target on Facebook. And all of this stuff starts coming into play, whereby only your estate agency can do this for them. Every other estate agent's going to put them on Rightmove. So the quicker you start building that data, the harder and harder it becomes to get caught. I know you might be saying, oh yeah, but anyone who's using Lifecycle can do that. Yeah, but you're the only one who is using Lifecycle. So get on with it, build the data, and then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who tries to take on Google now. You've all heard me talk about it before. It's too late. They've already got all the data. So I think that tells you everything you need to know. In terms of migrating, the system, these functions will go live in Lifecycle on June the 1st, which is next Tuesday. But don't feel like it's a big D-Day. Jesus, we've got to get everything sorted. You're already getting value out of Lifecycle. Just carry on using it how you're using it. Don't get stressed out about the whole thing. The functions will just arrive. They're not going anywhere. With your current estate agency software, you just pick a day or do it over a period of time whereby you're going to move your live properties into Lifecycle and switch the feeds to the portals. Not a big deal. You're going to put the photos in, copy and paste the descriptions. Okay, great. I've got my 30 live properties now sitting in Lifecycle. Talk to our support team. They'll get Rightmove on the call. We'll switch the feed. So that'll be the live properties done whenever you decide you want to do that. In terms of how do I get all my buyers and tenants in there, it's brilliant because we've got online registration. So all we need to do is import CSV files of vendors, buyers, landlords, tenants with their email addresses. And then you can just fire out an email to all buyers and tenants saying, hey, we're using this super magical system now. Go here and update your details. They'll go, your entire database will get refreshed and they'll all get matched and they'll all be active and the whole thing will come to life. And even if they don't fill it out, there's no archive in Lifecycle. So that's fine. They'll just continue receiving your newsletters. They can fill it out whenever they please. So the transition is nothing like moving to another estate agency software. It'll actually refresh your whole database. It'll clean the whole thing up. All the right people will fall into the right audiences. It's beautiful. But as I say, don't feel like it's a big rush. Got to do that on June the 1st. I think the way most people are looking at it is they will do that. And then they'll let their current pipeline, just their sales progression, just naturally die down in their old software. Rather than move all that information, they'll just let that pipeline die down while the Lifecycle one is building up. Market appraisals are going into Lifecycle, viewings are being booked, deals are getting tied up. My pipeline in Lifecycle is going up. My pipeline in Dupix is disappearing until when my pipeline in Dupix is gone. Well, I'm not using Dupix for matching. I'm not using it to upload to the portals. I'm not using the diary. I'm not doing sales progression. Some people are thinking they might keep a license for property management because, you know, we don't do property management at the moment. But even if they kept just one license, you know, they'd be saving a huge amount of money. I think that covers everything I wanted to speak about. Some of the questions that people have asked me before in the past relate to some of the stuff that I spoke about at the beginning. Window cards, printed brochures. Lifecycle doesn't do that stuff. If you're not aware of it, most of you, I'm sure, are. There's a website called Canva. Literally, there's about 5 million property templates on there. You just drop the photo on. It looks like a graphic designer's done stuff for you. So it's really not worth it for us. If there's a person out there, people say to me, what about if I find somebody who hasn't got an email address or a mobile number? I mean, firstly, there's so few people like that in the world. It's just not worth thinking about. But if there is someone like that, you've got Microsoft Word. It's nothing to do with Lifecycle. There's no point in me getting Lifecycle to print a letter that doesn't do anything in Lifecycle. So just go to Microsoft Word and send them a letter if you want to. But it's more a case, I think, that people don't want to give you their email and mobile number than that they haven't actually got one. And if you become a company that works like this, we don't send out pieces of paper. We're trying to save the planet. Give us your mobile number or give us your email address or jog on. Like they're the three options for people. Need to build a data system. We need to get ahead. Otherwise, we're just always going to be in this rat race with everybody else. There's a couple of questions in the chat. You could also use the raise your hand function if you've got a particular question that you wanted to ask me. If you don't know where it is, it will be under participants. There's a little, looks like you're giving me a wave. Let me just see what's in chat while I do that. So someone asked me, will you link Lifecycle with Canva? I suggested it to our CTO the other day. He just rolled his eyes at me because literally every time I see him, I give him about 14 suggestions. It's everything's possible. It's just a question of what priority do we want to put things in. You know, I spoke to you before about we could bring matching forward to the instant valuation. So what do you want? Do you want me to do that, or do you want me to link with Canva? The benefits, yeah, your photos would already be there. Is it enough of a benefit to warrant the time of us not doing something else? Probably not at the moment. I'm not saying we'll never do it because it's relatively simple to do, but you know, we've got other things to work on as well. Next question. Luke, who did an earlier look at Lifecycle 2, said there were new functions coming on the blog. I don't know of any new functions on the blog, so he maybe just misunderstood it. What he might have been talking about was where I said you've got the blog on your website at the moment. You'll probably put the property search on your website as well. And at some point in time, we'll just build full dynamic websites for people so that it's all in your domain, and it's, you know, it's only really, we're only talking about a homepage and a meet the team, and you've got the whole kind of website going. But for now, that's how you'll probably do it. Next one. Sorry, I missed the start. I'm just wondering how the diary will work with different users. Can I see my own diary? Okay, I can show you that in a second. Can you invoice solicitors? No, we're not doing invoicing or anything like that. Again, and that comes back to window cards. Oh, it'd be great if it was all in one system. Yeah, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? If the system could also walk the dog for me and paint the walls. It's not a accountancy software, so you'd raise your invoicing in Xero or whatever accountancy software you're using. Moving away from website using the Lifecycle platform looks like it'll affect Google SEO. That's a really interesting one. Most agents at the moment, their software sends their properties to Rightmove, and Rightmove puts their properties on the Rightmove immediately because they've got a real-time feed, and it also sends their properties to their website, but their website updates every few hours. So what that means is that Rightmove gets the property before your website does. And the way that Google SEO works is Google gives you plus points in SEO if you have original content, and it gives you minus points if you have content that you've copied from someone else. So Rightmove gets all of the SEO points, which is why they're always at the top of all the SEO, all the Google searches, and you get minus points because Google says, oh, you copied that off Rightmove. So you're right to a certain extent, but again, Lifecycle isn't an SEO system. You'd have to balance up how much business do you get from the SEO compared with the benefits of what Lifecycle 2 will do. Okay, will you consider linking to a property management system? We will possibly. I mean, we have mapped out the work to build our own. It's not that complicated, to be honest. We could make it instant free referencing, instant reconciliation. They're all relatively simple things to do. Again, it's just a question of priorities. So we wouldn't link to one. What we do is for lettings, we'd take it up to the point of the all the stuff I showed you with sales, same for lettings, offers accepted subject to references, and then you've got the details, hand that over to the property management team. They can do referencing and so on from there. In terms of the ongoing management of the property, they can use whatever system they please for that. There's no data going on inside property management that would be useful for me back here at this point. Is there a function to look at monthly stats, monthly performance? Yes. I can't show it to you at the moment because the guys are still working on it, and it might be all this stuff's coming on June the 1st. The stats will probably come over the course of a couple of weeks after that. But everything that you would need to know in terms of, right, I want to know how many, what happened today, what happened yesterday, what happened this week, what happened this month, and all of the things that, you know, you would want to know, the viewings, the market appraisals, the pipeline, the, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It would just be there. And if there's anything we've missed, that will be relatively easy to fix because it's like an Excel sheet. The data's in the system. We'll just add it. It's pretty comprehensive though. So I just want to go back to the diary that Georgina asked me about. Diary. If I go to the calendar here, let me just move this stuff move this chat off the screen. I've got myself in a bit of a muddle now. So close that. Okay. So the diary has got everything in it, but I can just break it down. So Georgina asked, can I just see my own diary? Yeah, no problem. You've got users up here. Because this is a test account, there's only one, but you'd have a list of all the users. So I only want to see this particular user, or I only want to see this particular branch, or I only want to see this particular type of event, market appraisal appointments, viewings, holidays, sickness. So you can break that down. You can see it in the normal sort of week view, day view, all of that kind of stuff, as you would expect a calendar to work. The beauty of the calendar, as you know already, is that Lifecycle works on any device. So you don't have to print the day, you don't have to print the calendar out anymore to know what's going on. You carry it around in your pocket. I can do everything that I've shown you on my phone in Lifecycle. So I can go to the calendar, go into the appointment, find the contact, press his mobile number, speak to him, and leave a note while I'm sitting in the car. Follow-ups. You can make tasks. So, you know, if it were me, I'd probably have this page open in a tab the whole time, because this is where the follow-ups button is. So I'm speaking to somebody and I think, oh, I better check in with him on Friday. I can go into follow-ups and create myself a task to do. And you can see all the tasks that need doing per branch, per user, what's outstanding, all of that kind of stuff inside here. I hope that all makes sense. Some of you might have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking in front of other people. You can always message me on social, like Facebook Messenger is probably the easiest place to get me, or you can drop me an email. You can speak to the team, speak to Kelly, speak to Rob. The other thing that I wanted to just mention before I leave was, if you haven't already spoken to Rob about booking in for his growth and innovation program, please do. Me and him worked so hard building this program whereby he can coach you just once a month through a process of making Lifecycle run like it's going at 100%, rather than you sitting there thinking, oh, I know I could do more with it, I just, you know, I haven't got the time. Just book in with him. He'll make it so easy for you. I promise you, you won't regret it. If you haven't done that already, just do it. Just go on and book in. You can book in on his online. You can pick a date and just start having conversations with him. And if you get through that process, at the end of it, there's this traffic light system. You turn all these lights green, and we can give you your company an award for innovation in a state agency, which you can then use in your own PR. Give you a trophy and a window sticker and all this. You can talk to people about how you're one of the companies that are leading innovation in a state agency. So it's really worth doing. Honestly, we worked so hard on how do we get people to just walk through this process and turn Lifecycle up to 100%. So definitely do that. I hope that's useful for you guys. I hope to put on some sort of actual physical event at some point in the year, but when things are a bit more predictable, and whereby I might get to actually see everybody face to face. Hope you all enjoy the sun over the weekend, and I'll speak to you all soon.